Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
Secure Testing Services, providing 24-hour on-site drug and alcohol testing for businesses.
and by
Clean water is one of our most valuable resources. Conserving it should be all of our responsibility. Remember every day to make every drop count. Wash full loads, take shorter showers, turn off your faucet. Water, use it wisely. Let's commit to conserve.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Flying Squirrels Insider. I'm Trey Wilson, he's Jake Eisenberg, and it's time to take a look at all things going on with the Richmond Flying Squirrels throughout this 10th season in 2019. Today, Utility Buddy from the City of Richmond Department of Public Utilities shares information about Richmond's natural gas safety program. The smell of natural gas is a pungent odor like rotten eggs. If there's a strong rotten egg odor, leave the area, go where the smell is no longer present, and call 911. Text to win free Flying Squirrel stuff. Text FSI to 63975. Message and data rates apply. Mobile services provided by Optin Technologies. Well, Jake, the Flying Squirrels continue rolling along through this 2019 season. Just over a month left as we hit August now. And of late, it's been a tale of a team that has done well on the road, but not so well at the Diamond.
It seems kind of crazy to think that we're already here in the month of August, and there is only one full month left of the season. And it's been interesting to see this year how the team has performed away from the Diamond and on the road. The last series against the Altoona Curve, that was one of the best four-game stretches that we've seen from the Squirrels in a while.
Came from behind to win 3 of those games in that series. The Flying Squirrels have now won 11 of their last 18 road games, but at home there has been some struggle, and one part of that might be because they haven't been able to find as many home runs at home. That's not an unusual thing. The Diamond is one of the most cavernous ballparks in minor league baseball, but the Flying Squirrels have hit just 3 home runs in their last 16 home games. Only have 18 home runs at home all season compared to 44 on the road, which is near the top of the league.
At 3 home runs in the last 16 home games. 2 of them have come over the last couple of days with the Flying Squirrels playing the Portland Sea Dogs. It's been a bit of a drought at the Diamond, and the big reason why, it's not so much so that the Diamond is much bigger than all of the ballparks, except for the power alleys. You look at the different distances down the lines, and that's not going to stand out to you, but the power alleys is where it matters. We
get asked about this a lot because people see the dimensions of the Diamond. They say, well, down the lines in right and left field, it's pretty similar to most places, and in center field, it's pretty similar to most. But if you take a look at the Diamond compared to a stadium like in Reading, at First Energy Stadium, you can really see how much the power alleys crowd out compared to somewhere like Reading, and that's where a lot of those home runs go. And compared to the Diamond, the Fightin' Phil's ballpark in Reading, Pennsylvania sees a lot more home runs. The power alleys are much deeper in Richmond, more than twice as many home runs at Reading compared to at the Diamond over the last 9 years, and that's pretty much carried over this year.
Yeah, all the hitters love going to First Energy Stadium and playing at the Fightin' Phil's ballpark because they know the ball, A, travels there, and B, things are a little bit shorter too. So it's the best of both worlds for hitters.
Another example of just taking a look at another stadium, if you look at New Hampshire, if you look at right field in New Hampshire, it's so shallow. It's a left-handed batter's paradise hitting home runs out there, but they've given up over the recent years, roughly 40% more home runs in New Hampshire compared to the home runs to the Diamond.
Yeah, when you come to the Diamond and you're trying to hit it out to right field, you'll see the breeze coming in a good amount and the wind swirl, and you're not going to hit the ball out to right field, let alone left field very often. That's not the case in New Hampshire.
The Flying Squirrels have ranked last in the Eastern League in home runs hit at home in 3 of the last 4 seasons, so this isn't something that's new, and it's very much been apparent this year. There's a very wide divide between home runs on the road and home runs hit at home. It's definitely a very pitcher-friendly ballpark here in Richmond, and it has been that way since 1985 when the stadium opened up. Shifting gears a little bit, the Flying Squirrels have been one of the top teams in the league, one of the top teams in all of minor league baseball this year at stealing bases. The Flying Squirrels have now stolen 100 bases this season, and that leads the Eastern League.
Yeah, it's also 5th in all of AA baseball, and a big reason why are guys like Janeshwi Fargas, Jalen Miller, Bryce Johnson really leading the charge pun intended, of stealing bases and making things work on the base path so the Flying Squirrels can put pressure on the opposing defense.
Nashville Fargus now has 40 stolen bases this season, which leads the league and is tied for the 4th most in all of professional affiliated baseball. That's minor league and Major League Baseball, and he's up near the very top at that. It's also the second most steals in a season in Flying Squirrels franchise history. It only trails the 49 steals that Kelby Tomlinson had in 2014, so that record's within reach for Fargus.
Not just within reach, I think it's likely to be broken. Nashville Fargus already with 40. He needs 9 more to tie Kelby Tomlinson. Remember, back in June, he had 21 stolen bases. That was a single-month record for the Flying Squirrels. That's
really what's propelled him up to this 40 stolen base mark for the 2019 season. Another single-season record watch that we've got going on is Jacob Hayward climbing up the list for the most walks in a single season in franchise history. He's now got 56 walks in 2019.
He's consistently been taking free passes. He's ranked among the Eastern League leaders in walks pretty much all season long. Entering this week, Jacob Hayward ranks 3rd in the league in walks, and he's just 6 shy of tying Mark Minikazi's franchise record.
Yeah, he's 56 walks this year. He's 3rd in the Eastern League. Most of the batters who are around him in that category in the league are big power hitters who guys are trying to pitch around. So for him, it's just been a matter of showing some patience. Ryan Howard for the Flying Squirrels has been showing a bit of a surge at the plate of late. He's hitting .340 over his last 14 games since June 17th, and that's raised his average by 25 points.
And we've seen some up and downs from Ryan Howard this season. When he started his year with the Flying Squirrels, he was batting under 200 in nearly 30 games. When he came back, it was a bit of another rough stretch before he turned things around. Recently, it was on a 7-game on-base streak. We're starting to see the more consistent Ryan Howard that we saw last year when he was an Eastern League All-Star.
On the pitching side of the equation for the Flying Squirrels, the bullpen has continued to be a dominating force and one of the best in the league over recent months. And it starts with talking about the top prospect in that bullpen, Melvin Adone.
We've talked about this time and time again, how much fun it is to watch Melvin Adone firing 100+ mile-an-hour fastballs and devastating breaking balls. And when you look at this bullpen, number of people, pitching coach Glenn Dishman, bullpen catcher Eliezer Zambrano have said this is one of the best bullpen groups they've ever worked with.
And then it continues on for a guy who had a rough start to the season, but in his 2nd season with the Flying Squirrels is putting together some pretty incredible numbers of late in Ryan Halstead.
Yeah, Ryan Halstead has an ERA under 1 really over the last 2 months, and we've seen him blossom into the reliever that he was last year. There was one rough outing in April that kind of inflated his ERA a little bit. He's brought it down nearly 5 runs over the last 2 months, and he's been dominant out of the bullpen and in a couple of spot starts.
Another right-hander out of the bullpen with a big arm, Tyler Sear, Eastern League All-Star. He's been having a nice turnaround after missing a big portion of 2018 and even the beginning of 2019 with an elbow injury. Tyler Sear has been lights out of late.
He was lights out in 2017 when he was most recently with the Flying Squirrels, leading the team in appearances and saves, and we've seen that from Tyler Sear again this year. In the month of July, only allowed 1 earned run across the entire month, so he's just another guy coming out of the bullpen that is firing heavy fastballs and really devastating hitters.
Caleb Simpson's another guy who missed some time with injuries in recent years, but he's starting to really turn a nice corner, a 1.20 ERA over his last 12 outings since June 18th.
And we've seen Caleb Simpson also develop a cut fastball to go along with his heavy fastball, his 4-seam fastball, and a slider. And when he works with those 3 pitches, it's a tough task for any hitter in the box.
Well, the trade deadline was this past week as we shift gears once again. July 31st, 4:00 p.m. All trades in Major League Baseball stop, and we saw a few Flying Squirrels go on the move. 4 players were moved on the trade deadline day, and including Ray Black, who was recently with the team last year.
Yeah, we saw Ray Black go over to the Milwaukee Brewers. We saw Hunter Strickland, who was then with the Seattle Mariners, now over with the Washington Nationals. We saw Christian Arroyo, not on the trade deadline day a couple of days ago, going a deal over to the Cleveland Indians, and Joe Biagini going from the Blue Jays down to the Astros.
Biagini's joining a pretty loaded pitching staff down there in Houston. Yeah. He was traded along with Aaron Sanchez, plus they picked up Zach Greinke. They already have Justin Verlander and Garrett Cole. The Houston Astros, Joe Biagini's going in a pretty nice situation down there in Houston. So a handful of Flying Squirrels on the move as baseball turned its attention to the trades, but now everybody locked in and getting set in the Major League side to finish up the last couple months of the season. We are rolling into the final full month of the minor league season here in August. The Flying Squirrels are starting to fade in the standings. It looks like it's a 2-team race right now between Erie and Bowie.
It's not so different than what we saw in the first half of this season when Harrisburg ran away with the Western Division. Right now it's Bowie and Erie running away with the rest of the division. They're separated by just a half a game. Everyone else 10 games or more out at first place.
So those two teams continue to battle at the top of the standings. The Flying Squirrels will try to finish strong throughout the month of August. There's still plenty of storylines to follow along with his 2019 Richmond Flying Squirrels team, and a lot of fun to look back at how things have gone over these last couple of weeks. So we continue on Flying Squirrels Insider. We're going to take a look at some squirrel science and learn a little bit about home runs.
Hello out there, Richmond and beyond. I'm Nutsy here with the esteemed Professor Natasha, examining and unraveling the mind-bending secrets of the universe,
as revealed to us by the invisible hand of physics. Baseball is the perfect illustration of nature's delicately balanced ballet.
Ballet? Home runs are about power and strength.
Power alone does not make home runs happen. The two main factors in hitting a home run are exit velocity and launch angle.
Whoa, slow down, Professor. That sounds like rocket science.
It is not quite as complicated as sending a rocket to the moon, but they are the very same principles. When the pitcher throws the ball, there are several variables that determine if it will be hit out of the park.
Sheer muscle.
Strength, yes, but more importantly, speed. The faster the bat speed, the more force the hitter can produce. A heavier bat will add more momentum to our equation, but there is a point where too much weight reduces the amount of possible bat speed.
So we want to select a bat that is heavy enough to generate momentum, but also light enough that we can get as much bat speed as possible.
That's right. For each mile per hour of exit velocity, the baseball will travel 5 feet. Therefore, we need an exit velocity of about 95 miles per hour to hit a home run. As batters, we can't control the hardness of the bat or the ball or the speed of the pitch, but we can practice bat speed and aim for the right spot.
Right, the sweet spot of the bat.
Indeed. The right launch angle is just as important as velocity to getting home run trajectory.
When I was a little squirrel, we were taught to swing level to try and hit the ball as squarely as possible. Now it seems the current fashion is for hitters to uppercut the ball.
As the great Ted Williams observed in The Science of Hitting, the level swing has always been advocated, but the ideal swing is not level, and it's not down. If you get the ball into the air with power, you have the gift to produce the most important hit in baseball, the home run.
So it's not a crazy new idea to try and lift the ball. Our fancy modern statistic technologies are simply proving the theories of the greatest baseball scientist who ever lived.
The things that he understood about the game can now be measured and studied. We have learned the ideal launch angle is between 25 and 35 degrees. Hit at too low an angle and the ball is likely to be a grounder. Too high and it will be a pop fly. As we have seen with increasing home run numbers over the last few years, the better we understand and practice the science, the better hitters we can become.
Wow, thanks for the awesome lesson, Professor Natasha. If you have a baseball science question, contact us on Twitter at @GoSquirrels, #SquirrelsScience.
We're joined now on Flying Squirrels Insider by one of the members of the Richmond Flying Squirrels starting rotation. It's left-hander Caleb Baragar. Caleb, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jake. But glad to be here.
We're going to talk to you in a little bit about the slider that you've been developing, how you develop pitches and things like that. But first, we'll get to know you a little bit.
Sounds good.
So I want to start with the fact that you were an Eastern League All-Star this year. And I'm curious, if you had told yourself back when you were in high school that you were going to be playing professional baseball, let alone be an All-Star, what would you say to high school Caleb?
I probably would just laugh, you know. It was just crazy, you know, starting the year in San Jose and then getting called up after like a month, coming here and just having some success right out of the gate, having about 10 really good starts and putting myself in a good position, you know, it was just an awesome honor.
I know coming out of high school there weren't many Division I offers on the table for you. Wound up going to Jackson Community College, then you wind up at Indiana, and I feel like that's where a lot of things kind of changed for you. There were some experiences there that really propelled you to the next level.
Yeah, I really learned to pitch there. Like my first 2 years in junior college was kind of just getting my feet wet. Like First year, didn't really play the first half of the season. Some guys got hurt, got my opportunity, pitched well. Like, still velocity wasn't where it needed to be. Kind of realized like I had to put in the work that summer. That's when I got bigger, grew a little bit, got stronger. And second year just kind of breezed through it. And then I wasn't really tested until I got to IU. And, you know, the strike zone got more normal, I guess. And junior college was kind of all over the place. Basically, catcher catches, it's probably going to be a strike. So it was just kind of honing in my accuracy and throwing strikes, and then developing some certain pitches and just kind of putting things together on the mental side as well.
A solid junior year, but you go undrafted in June. You come back to Indiana for your senior season. What changed that year? Was there a moment where you really felt like playing professional baseball was possible?
Yeah, for sure. I thought going into IU I had a pretty good chance to play professionally. That's kind of one of the reasons why I decided to commit there. I knew they got guys there and got them ready. So going in, I knew that was kind of what I wanted to do once I got to Indiana. And I guess my senior year was more just like, okay, I have to prove something that I guess I didn't show last year, and I put together a pretty good season, was able to be lucky enough to get drafted.
9th round pick by the Giants, and now you're working your way up through the Giants system. We talked just a couple of minutes ago about how you started this year in San Jose, and then you came to Richmond. What's it like starting the year on one coast and then having to move to the other?
It's crazy, you know. It's nice though because my family's on this side of the country. They're from Michigan, so they kind of get to watch more of my games. When I was in San Jose, like, the game starts at 7 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock there. My parents are already going to bed, getting ready to get to work in the morning. So it's been nice, I guess, being back on the East Coast. I kind of like this time zone a little bit better.
You settle into the AA level with the Flying Squirrels. You mentioned that string of really good starts. You earn the Eastern League All-Star recognition, and then you're told that you're going to start the All-Star game. What was that moment like? It
was really cool, you know, being the home team, and ended up being a sellout too, so it was a bunch of local Richmond people at the game, and it was just kind of cool to get to pitch in front of those fans and just to be in that community environment and represent Richmond. It was awesome.
Not only that, you get to be in the clubhouse too with all of the other Eastern League All-Stars, and then you get to go up against the rest of the Eastern League All-Stars. You're putting your best against the best that this league has to offer. What did that experience mean to you?
It was really cool. You know, it's always kind of one of those things you're like, oh, am I really here for the right reasons? Like, was it just kind of a fluke? Like, every now and then you kind of second guess yourself, but it was nice to just go out there and compete and like have some success there too. And it's just another little, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of some reassurance, I guess, you know?
It's things that you're doing things the right way.
Correct, yeah.
And that you're progressing in your career the way that you'd hoped you would.
Exactly.
So now that you're almost 3 full years into your professional career, you were drafted in 2016. What's something that you've learned about yourself through that process?
I'm still pretty resilient. You know, it was always kind of that way, like always being kind of overlooked and whatever, and you know, just kept pushing and pushing. Eventually, pushing, got drafted, pushing, moving up the system, and then having some struggles my first 2 years trying to figure out pro ball a little bit, figure out myself, and I think I've done a really good job this year just kind of being the same person every day and trying to put the same thing out on the field every day and give my team a chance to win.
They say that moving your way up the ladder and making it to the big leagues, especially at this level, is all about adjustments. You've made an adjustment this year to add a slider. Why'd you choose that pitch?
Pretty much because they told me to. It was kind of just one of those things. Like, they like my other stuff, like they like my curveball, and obviously they love my fastball. And I got a pretty good changeup too, but they wanted something kind of in between because curveball's so big and fastballs, there's just a big difference in velo there. And so they wanted something that was a little more swing and miss in the zone, as opposed to like, I get a lot of takes from my curveball because it's just so big, guys just give up on it right away. So they wanted something more that I can just throw like either in the zone or at the bottom of the zone that just comes out at the end.
That slider's been a good pitch for you. We're going to break that down a little bit when we return to FSI Field on Flying Squirrels Insider. He's Jonah Arenado. I'm Jake Eisenberg. We're going to step out of the box. So Jonah, tell me your favorite food.
Favorite food's got to be a Cuban dish called ropa vieja. That's definitely probably my all-time favorite.
What's in that?
It's like a shredded beef. I can't even explain it to you, but it's like a shredded beef and it has like black beans and rice, and so I don't know. I could eat it every day.
Cuban dish, but you're from California, so where does that come from?
My dad's from Cuba. My mom's Puerto Rican and she's also Cuban too. But so you know, my grandma and aunts and uncles, they always make that's like the dish, the go-to dish.
Sounds good. Favorite TV show?
The Office.
Office.
Easy.
Got a favorite character?
Michael Scott.
Favorite quote?
I'm not superstitious, I'm a little stitious.
All right. Grew up playing wiffle ball with your brother Jonah Arenado, your cousin Josh Fuentes. They're both in the big leagues. Is there something that you can beat them both at?
I got Josh in ping pong.
Yeah?
Nolan's tough. If I beat him, he'll never let it down, so he'll work as hard as he can to make sure it doesn't happen again. But I'll beat him in ping pong. We have some good series.
Yeah? Left-handed, right-handed in ping pong?
Right-handed.
Of course.
Yeah.
What's your best shot?
Slam.
Slam shot?
Slam
Yeah.
in their face and then talk some trash. That's the best part about it.
All right, we got to talk about the hair a little bit. You got it tied up in a bun, but when you let it loose, it kind of expands a good amount.
It's a nice fro.
Yeah, when was the last time you cut it?
It's been almost 2 years now.
Yeah?
Almost 2 years, yeah. It's been a while.
Worst haircut you ever had?
I had a mullet a couple years ago. Yeah, the barber. I showed him a picture and he did something else, but I was hitting well, so I just rolled with it.
All right, we've reached first base. We're safe, but you got to run out of base hit, so we'll go a little farther. What's your go-to dance move?
Probably the hitch move, 6 inches from the waist. That's probably about it.
All right, you got to demonstrate. Yeah, you got to show me.
Nice and easy. That's
there
it.
It is.
There's no more than that.
That's a good way to end it. We've gone out of the box. He's Jonah Arenado. I'm Jake Eisenberg. We'll see you next time. There are a lot of different weapons, pitches, that pitchers use to try and get hitters out, and they're constantly evolving to get even better. We're back with Caleb Baragar now at FSI Field, and he's going to show us a little bit about the slider that he's been working on throughout the course of this season. Caleb, you already had the fastball, you had the curveball, you had the changeup. Why have you added a slider this year?
I wanted to give hitters a little extra to think about and help my arsenal a little bit.
How did that conversation go with pitching coach Glenn Dishman when you were trying to figure out, all right, what else do I need?
It was more of a, hey, we got an email from up top today saying we need to add a slider to your arsenal and we think it'll help.
Caleb, there are a lot of different ways to throw pitches. Pitchers have all different kinds of different grips to get the same types of pitch. How many different types of grips did you go through before you found something that was comfortable and got the type of movement that you wanted to see?
I went through about 5 different grips. It was a big experimental process, a lot of bullpens, and then it even ended up being a couple different games where I was throwing multiple different slider grips during the game on the same type of pitch. So we started with just kind of the normal, like, hey, this is what we're going to try. Just grab it kind of right here and just throw it as hard as you can. Don't touch any of the seams, just kind of pull down on my middle finger here. And that one was okay, but I had absolutely no control over it, and I pretty much could only throw it in the dirt. So it was good for a strikeout pitch, but it didn't really help me, I guess, get swings and misses in the zone. You know, if they weren't going to swing, then it was going to be a ball. Then we went to the second one, which I got from Connor Menez because I saw his slider was really good this year, like throwing it really hard, got into the big leagues.
Right.
So I was like, why not try to see what this guy does? So he grabs his right here, up around the horseshoe, squeezes it a little bit tighter. That was the main thing with him. He said kind of grip it tightly and then make sure you're really pulling down off the index finger again. So I started to see everyone was kind of throwing it off their index finger. So then it was just kind of like what's going to be comfortable in my hand and what's going to let me get it out front and pull down correctly. So I went through some more, started kind of offsetting the horseshoe a little bit. This one was okay, but it's just kind of spinny. I didn't really see the sharp depth that I wanted. And that's when I finally landed kind of throwing it just like a 4-seam fastball, like spreading my fingers out a little bit. And basically this one, when I hold it this way, I just throw it like an actual fastball and it just seems to come off really nice, like it'll spin kind of like a cement mixer, I guess, if for lack of better words.
Right.
You know, and then I get a nice little like drop about that big and just enough to miss a barrel.
Seems like a pretty unconventional slider grip.
Yeah, it was just a lot of experimenting, and the only thing I really felt comfortable with, you know, I looked up some guys, like I saw how Scherzer held his, he holds his like Menez, and Chris Sale holds his like the way I tried to throw it in the beginning, and I couldn't really find anybody that I liked and couldn't really find a grip that I really trusted. And for me, it was really just bringing my fingers apart and thinking fastball the whole time, and it ended up just working out really well.
So you're taking some grips from guys that you've seen have success. You're also learning about how that pitch is supposed to work from pitching coach Glenn Dishman. And you got to build trust with that in the bullpen and then in the game. So what exactly are you trying to do to hitters when you use that pitch?
Right now, I like to use it more just with 2 strikes, you know, get a swing and miss. I'm still not super comfortable throwing it for a strike. Every now and then, like a catcher will put down a 3, so I'll be like, all right, if I only have 1 strike like this one, I just don't throw it as hard. If I don't throw it as hard, I can kind of get it to just stay up in the zone a little bit, but that's sometimes when it gets hit. It just kind of spins, it doesn't move as much. And for me, it's just really been like, this is a pitch I can throw with complete intent and throw it as hard as I can and normally get a good result with.
What have you found so far have been some of the challenges of trying to learn a new pitch in the middle of the season?
It's more frustrating than I expected it to be, for sure. Like I said, there was a lot of trial and error. I remember my start in Trenton, I threw 4 different slider grips that day. And that's kind of when I found this one, like just messing around literally during the game. I was like, well, what if this doesn't feel very good if I put my fingers together? But then what if I just spread them out? Like maybe it'll help, maybe it'll be better. And I remember I threw one just like this, got a strikeout on it, and got back to the dugout, and Dishman was like, hey, that was like the best slider you've thrown since you've been here. Like, what'd you do? I was like, honestly, I just spread my fingers apart and threw it really hard. And it worked.
Well, you found a slider that works. It's been working for you. I don't know about you, Trey. I can't hit a fastball, let alone a slider.
Yeah, I don't know if I could hit any of it. But Caleb, thanks so much.
Thank you,
and
guys.
Thanks for joining us, Caleb Baragar. Thanks to Jake. Thanks to our entire crew. And thanks for tuning in for this week's episode of Flying Squirrels Insider. We'll talk to you again in a couple of weeks.
Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
Secure Testing Services, providing 24-hour on-site drug and alcohol testing for businesses. And by
Smell gas? Act fast. Don't just stand there. Leave the area. Get out. Go where the smell is no longer present and call 911. Making you aware, keeping you safe. We're Richmond's Natural Gas Safety Awareness Program.